Reproduction in plants. Plant kingdom, it contains a lot of organisms, but mainly they are eukaryotic, multicellular, and autotrophic organisms. The scientists thought that plants are degenerate descended and originated from the plants that live in fresh water, which are represented by green algae because of some similarities, like both of them contain chlorophyll or some additional pigments. They store excess amount of carbohydrate as starch, and also they have cell wall which made up of cellulose, like first and second and number 3. These similarities, the scientists thought that the plants are originated from the green algae. In plant kingdom, alternation of generations appear. Alternation of generation. In plants, the life cycle, in plants it will be in 2 stages, the sporophyte and the gametophyte. That's why the sporophyte, like a generation, and gametophyte start the sporophyte, and like this make a cycle. So this life cycle, we call it the alternation of generation for plants. In this picture, it summarizes the life cycle of plants, which consists of 2 stages, the sporophyte and the gametophyte. In this table, what we are familiar of is spore. We may remember it from fungi, because they also reproduce by spore and similar to plants in reproduction way. Spore is the asexually reproductive cell which can germinate into a new complete organism without fertilization. So the gametophyte plants, in some kind of plant it's 2 different plants, 1 male or 1 female, or sometimes just 1 plant with 2 side plant, male and female. We call it gametophyte. Phyte means plant, and plant which produce gametes. But because the original plant is haploid, it formed the male or female reproductive cell by mitosis. Union between male and female reproductive cell by fertilization to form zygote with its diploid, and growth by mitosis to form new plant sporophyte. Sporophyte is diploid chromosome number because formed from union of 2 male and female reproductive cell by fertilization, but it forms the haploid chromosome number spores again by meiosis. So in this site, because reproductive cells are formed, fertilization happens, zygote and diploid chromosome number of organisms which plant produce gamete, it is sexually reproduction. But on that side, formation of asexually reproductive cell, spore and germination into a gametophyte, it represents the asexually reproduction. Means one life cycle, plants have sexually and asexually reproduction. So in the sporophyte and the gametophyte start, but gametophyte and the sporophyte start, so we call this as alternation of germination. Sporophyte and gametophyte, the 2 life stage in life cycle of plants. Sporophyte is the asexual stage, we produce the spores, while the gametophyte is the asexual stage and produce gametes. Cells have complete number of chromosomes in sporophyte, but gametophyte, it has haploid chromosome number, which we represented by N. After the fertilization between male and female gametes, sporophyte forms. Means what? When gametophyte and the sporophyte start. When the stage gets major, some of its cells, mother cells, undergo meiosis for spore formation. And by spore formation, the gametophyte organism produces it. Because of this division, there will be spores with half number of original chromosomes represented by gametophyte. And the spores indicate the starting of gametophyte. As we compare them, sporophyte, asexual stage, gametophyte, sexual stage, sporophyte, diploid, gametophyte, haploid, sporophyte form spores, gametophyte form gametes. And nearly all plants, they have these 2 stages in their life cycle, but we're going to study on one example for seedless non-vascular plant which are represented by mosses. Reproduction in Polytrichum happens in two stages, sporophyte and gametophyte. As we study its form, mosses, and to question to ask about the example for mosses, we can give Polytrichum, or ask about the non-vascular plant example. Maybe mosses we can give examples, all Polytrichum a specific example for non-vascular plants. Non-vascular, the plants which have no xylem and phloem in their body, but material transport happens by diffusion from one cell to another. In the mature gametophyte, which is a leafy stem, carries antheridia or archegonia. The male part is antheridia and the female part is archegonia, but both of them represent the gametophyte, male and female separated. So this special name protonema for what? For the gametophyte in mosses, a specific name. About its definition, we can say the protonema is leafy stem, which is called as gametophyte, maybe male antheridia or female archegonia in mosses. The male gametes released from antheridia outside swim in water. The fertilization happens by water and also in water, because mosses also called as the plant amphibia, because they live in water in one period of life. So male release the male reproductive cell in water, swim to form female reproductive cell in archegonia. Then fertilization takes place by merging male nucleus with female nucleus. After the fertilization, zygote formed, but this single embryonic cell is zygote. This green colored tissue is gametophyte. But mitosis pass, division happens, zygote divide, number of cells increase. As organism grow, sporophyte grow, so gametophyte decay. Then become mature sporophyte. At the top of the sporangiophore, meiosis takes place in this sac, which we call a sporangium, because it contains the spores which are formed by meiosis. As meiosis completes, the spores are formed, the sporangium again split, the spore release, spore asexual reproductive cell germinate into new plant without fertilization. Male gametangia, antheridia, and female gametangium, archegonia. Again, male release the sperm in water, find their way to the egg in female body, archegonium. Fertilization happens in water. Zygote formed as a result of fertilization. Zygote angular mitotic divisions. Tissue grow to form sporophyte. As sporophyte grow, the gametophyte decay. When it becomes mature, spores are formed by meiosis in a sac called a sporangium, and the cycle turns. Again, this naming for the protonema, which is gametophyte special for mosses. Reproduction in ferns. The reproduction in ferns happens in two stages as other plants, sporophyte and gametophyte. Ferns are type of seedless vascular plants. They have no seed. They reproduce by sporulation. But they have no seeds. Reproduction happens as follows. So for mosses and ferns, the type of reproduction is sporulation. So in chapter question, why the sporulation is the best way of reproduction for plants? Because spores are light in weight, small in size, easy to separate, and can germinate into new organisms without fertilization, and they all advantages for plants to reproduce by sporulation. Sporophyte is dominant stage in ferns because there are two stages, sporophyte and gametophyte, and sporophyte is longer in life and bigger in size, so we call it the dominant stage in ferns. In nature, when we look after the ferns, we mainly see the sporophyte but not gametophyte. Sporangia are formed at the lower surface of leaves. So in the chapter question again, the location of sporangia or sporangium in ferns at the lower surface of leaves. The spores are formed in sporangium by meiosis, and as a result they have half of the chromosome number because they produced by meiosis, and spores released when the sporangium opens. Again, when the sporangium forms spores, meiosis ended, sporangium split or open, spore released. The spores grow into gametophyte because asexual reproductive cell can germinate into new organism without fertilization. So what we call in Moses protonema is represented by prothallus in ferns, but the structure is different. It's a heart-shaped, leafy, green-colored structure. One side, the sharp ends contain male reproductive cell, or it is antheridia or antheridium, but this folded, like a galvous part, is archegonium, which is produce female reproductive cell egg. Similar to Moses, sperms are formed in antheridium, released in water. They find their way to the egg, which is found produced by archegonium. Fertilization happens, zygote formed. Zygote, one unique embryonic cell, undergo mitosis to grow into a new sporophyte. As sporophyte produces its own leaves and start photosynthesis to do its own food, that time the gametophyte decay, but sporophyte grow. And sporophyte is diploid, again form the spores by meiosis. Spore is located inside called a sporangium, which is located at the lower surface of leaf. Again, spore germinate into prothallus, produce male and female reproductive cell, fertilization, zygote, growth, decaying, gametophyte, and sporophyte start by sporophyte and by releasing of spore, gametophyte stage start, and they follow one another like a cycle, which we call it alternation of generation. Reproduction in flowering plants